Welcome to Tips for the Transition, where we have deep, meaningful conversations about life. We talk about how significant changes like divorce, grief, and career change can affect us, our family, our relationships, and our work, and how to move beyond them. I'm your host, Maria Tomás-Keegan, certified career and life coach for women, and I'm here to support you through the messy seasons of life so you can answer big questions like who am I now and how do I move on from here? If you're ready to consider new options, be inspired, and meet incredible women who are on this life journey with us, you're in the right place. You'll find something in each episode to give you hope and encourage you to move from panic to powerful, from rocky to resilient, and from upside down to right side up. This is Tips for the Transition. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. And welcome to Tips for the Transition, the Career Roadmap podcast. I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, your host, and as a career coach, I help professional women who feel stuck. Together, we position them for the career they really want so they can feel fulfilled and create more harmony in their lives. Because when your career isn't a soulful fit, it becomes a soul-sucking experience. So each weekly conversation we have here on the podcast with an inspiring guest can be a resource for you, so you can become more confident and resilient and brave to make the moves you want to make and do it with more ease and grace. So if something strikes a chord as you listen in today, and you want more information, check the show notes below the video. There will be various ways for you to connect with my guest and me. So today, my guest is a colleague who feels like a soul sister because she is also a career coach for women. Our philosophies and our missions align very closely. So we have had many deep, meaningful conversations already. I have been honored to be a guest speaker on her career summits, and now you get to meet her. Anke Menzler comes to us from Marbach, Germany, and coaches driven, purposeful women who want to make a difference in their chosen professions. Her clients are ambitious, heart-centered, and soul-driven, and want a career that contributes to a life full of passion, joy, and abundance. She guides women to discover their talents, communicate effectively, and strengthen their confidence to design their careers accordingly. I told you, we're very aligned. Not only does Anke coach privately, but she also advises organizations on managing change cycles by reducing complexity and uncertainty for their teams. In addition, she helps them implement agile methodologies to elevate performance and encourage value-based collaboration. Anke brings her deep and broad experience to help companies and women create extraordinary and passionate success while making a difference. She is certified in systemic, agile, and cultural communication coaching. She is a project management and SCRUM master and has 20 years of experience as a sales leader in global tech companies. I told you, her experience is broad and deep, and we bring her to you, to our podcast today, because we're going to talk about what it means to remain relevant in your career. Hello, Anke.
Hello, Maria. Thank you. Thank you so much for reading this. Oh my gosh. Oh, I have goosebumps now.
Yeah, it's all about you.
Yes, thank you so much. I can't believe that I did
Yeah,
all of this and still do. And yeah, thank
you're
you.
so welcome. You're so welcome. So I want to get started. As I said, you and I have had multiple conversations over the years, and I want specifically to bring this topic of relevance to our audience because I think it's very important. It is a relevant topic in today's climate.
Yeah.
So let's just kick this off by starting to talk about what it means to be relevant. What do you think about that question?
Ah, relevant. This is really quite easy to understand because it only means to be of an importance for a context, maybe for a situation, for anything. So it really comes down to being of importance and adding value to something. So and that's it. And if you think about your career, that's the same way. So you have to be important. You have to bring a value to your company, and that's where the relevance comes in. That's how relevant being relevant is seen and defined, and it's pretty simple, I think. Yeah, that's being meaningful.
Yeah, I think you're so right. So let's talk about why is it essential? Why do we need to remain
Yeah.
relevant? Why is that so important?
I think personally, for each human being, we all want to be needed. We all want to be meaningful, right? So, really belonging to someone and really, or not only to someone, but also to a group. So, from a cultural aspect, it's pretty important for us to be part of a group. But also, if you see it from a market perspective, or from a job perspective, being of relevance is so important because, of course, at the end, it pays our living. So that's how we make our living. And if you see it in a business context, in a market context, it's where the trend goes. And we all want to add value to everyone and be meaningful and be of importance in this world, right? So, and that's why it's necessary to stay relevant. That's the same in private life. If you have a partner, then you want to stay relevant to this person because you love that person, you want to belong to that person, and of course you get something out of that. And the same goes for you in your career. Either you are employed or you are a business person, you employ people, you want to stay relevant so that you have meaning for them. They want to work for you or you want to work for them. So, and they want to hire you. That's as simple as that. Yeah, it's essential.
Yeah, so and I agree with all of that. So let's talk about what that looks like.
Oh, yes.
What
Yeah.
in practical terms, what does it look like to be relevant in today's working environment and indeed in our lives? You know, everything we talk about, because career is just a little piece of our lives, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
It takes the most time of our, waking hours. So it's a big piece of
It
our
is.
lives. What does it practically look like to remain relevant?
So from the practical perspective, you can see if you are right now in a career where you are in your routine and you feel stuck and you don't get the projects you want to have, so it's getting boring, you are not interested anymore. You are searching for something that fulfills you in the end. So really, you as human beings, we have phases where we are in. So we all have our seasons, right? And everything in life, and so does our career, has to be meaningful to us as well. And we also, if we see those phases in our lives, the world is evolving, ever evolving. It does not stop to change. So we have to stay relevant here. So that's how we can see it. So get the trainings, but also broaden your perspective. You read my bio before, and you can see I have tried a lot of things, and I have tried to get some training on various things. But what I still do is staying relevant with all the pieces that I gathered to be relevant on the market, and also to keep up with the changes in the world. And that's how it looks like, is really to leverage all the skills that you have taken on for every situation in your life, in your career, for every change, for every phase. So be it for the last 2 years, we have been in a pandemic, and a lot of us got used to new working, like remote working, right? So we have tried to adapt things to be able to work from home. And now we are in a phase where a lot of us got really used to working remotely and want to keep that. So we have taken on some skills, and that's the relevance of it, really enhancing everything, really going with the change, going with the trends. That's it. And it's not only about training, it's also how you really apply those trainings for your career. Like, for instance, if I take agile working, this all started in the software development. And when I got into the training, I recognized I was already in a training which was kind of dated. Why? Because a lot of people got the training and tried to apply this to their jobs. But what happens today is agile working goes from the software development into every area of companies, into everything. And I also, as of today, apply this within my coaching and train my clients to really be adaptable, getting the agile mindset into place in their working areas, in their working spaces, really getting further ahead, and then also asking themselves, what else does this training, does those skills serve? So who does it serve? What is it good for in the long run? What next? So if I want to have a next job, what of that, what I have been learning is relevant for the next phase as well, and for someone else, and all of that. So that's where you see how relevance, how you could look at relevance. And also, if you think ahead, so when I think about the agile, this is already dated, because those people who have trained me have been into that for years. So I can't even think about how and what they have applied this to. So being strategic about that.
Yeah, you mentioned some very important words that I'd like to just revisit for a moment. What does it mean to be relevant, practically speaking? You said we need to be aware of the trends and changes that are happening.
Mm-hmm.
We need to adapt. There are a lot of A's here, I'm noticing. We need to be agile, right?
Yeah.
Adaptable, agile, flexible, willing to kind of go with the flow where things are going. If those things are of interest to us, if we want to go in that direction, then we need to understand that we have to adjust, another A, adjust how, and look ahead, another A, look ahead.
Yes.
I didn't realize there were so many A's involved in relevance.
And apply.
It's a really good point. You're making lots of really good points about what it takes for us to, if we desire to remain relevant in this career, in this role, in this job, then those are the things we need to be thinking about, is how can we become aware of how things are changing? How can we be agile, flexible, adapt, and look ahead to anticipate? Geez, there's another one. to anticipate what's coming and what will be needed and how we can serve that need. That's
Absolutely.
all about relevance, isn't it?
Yes, and you said about this current job. I don't only think that this applies only to the current job,
No, of
because
course not.
if you
Right.
take your skills and then think ahead
Think ahead.
to
Right.
what you want to do next, or what, and you said something in the beginning, when you summarized everything, that that's interesting. So what are you interested in? So what are you so the trends, your own trends as well, right? So
Right.
the past years have shown you how your trends go, so the flow of your own trend. And of course, it's like the stock market, also for the working, it's the same. And there you can see, okay, what do I find interesting, what do I enjoy? And if I take all of that, then I can anticipate what's coming next. So sticking with the A's, but I think you get the idea of what you can see. So it's, yes, looking at where you are right now and where you have been in the past, but also how does this all serve you for the next? Yeah.
Right. Right. For what it is you desire next.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. Figuring out what skills are relevant,
Mm-hmm.
the skills that you have, the skills that you need,
Mm-hmm.
what skills are relevant for your career on the path that you're on that growth path that you're on. Whether so lots of different scenarios can come into play here. Whether you are working in a corporate role and you're looking to broaden your responsibilities within the current role, or you're looking to get promoted into the next level up, or you're in corporate, you don't want to be anymore, and you're deciding what else to do. How does someone figure out what their skills are so
Mm-hmm.
that they can make them relevant for what they want to do next?
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. You touched upon a question that I really, really love. And looking back, it's the best way to do this. That's how I did it. So, for instance, I had a sales training back 20 years ago. And they did not only teach me how to sell things to others, but also how to communicate and how to stay calm in a moment where everything gets exciting for me or I got nervous. And those skills that I took on are relevant today because, as you read in my bio, it's communication coaching. It's strengthen your communication. And so you can look at all the skills, at every piece of it, really. So where are you strong? What did you learn in the past? What is something that you always really use and enjoy, where you are flowing and really get into flow and interested are? So that's a piece where you can really look at and see, okay, that's something how I can find out what competence, what skill is relevant, and then figure out, okay, what's the need? What's the need of, or what's the gap of someone else? What's the gap in my company, in my department, and how could my strength fit into that? That's one way to look at that. And then, of course, ask yourself, and that's where the agile mindset comes into place, and which I really love, is what else? I love the question of what else does it serve? What else do they need with that? So what can I really do with it as well? And you already have everything, but if you don't feel strong enough in something, then of course you can learn something more. But to that point, you already have all the competences. And here we come into the competence circle and really looking at that. So personal skills, you have methodological Please help me with that word.
Methodologies.
Yes, right.
Methodologies. Okay.
Social skills and all of those skills are necessary to stay relevant. And right now, you might not feel those are relevant because they seem like a routine for you, something that you always do. But some others don't have it. Some others are not good at that.
Right. You know, you mentioned something that makes me want to insert this.
Mhm.
So I want people to think about relevance in its broadest terms, and it is in its
Yeah.
most inclusive terms. So it's not just our relevance for the company we work for. How
Yeah.
do, great point you made, identify where the gap is and figure out how you can serve and fill that gap. That makes you very relevant for
Mhm.
the company. But let's think also about relevance for ourselves,
Oh, yes.
right? We want to understand what it is we desire. What
Mhm.
do we want most?
Yeah.
What's missing for us in our careers? And how do we stay relevant to ourselves
Mhm. Yeah.
so that we are stepping into whatever the next thing is uh, with with confidence that we will love it,
Oh,
that
yeah.
we can feel fulfilled,
Mhm.
that we can leverage what we're passionate about doing. So, as we're talking about the skills that we have, how do we figure out what skills are relevant? I think it's what skills are that bring you the most joy to use.
Yeah, and also what sparks your energy really? Where do you get your energy from, and
Yeah,
where do you get into a flow? So really, where, what with what activity, what task brings you in a state that you can lose track of time?
yeah, yeah. Because we're loving what we're doing, right?
Exactly. And what would you love talking about?
Yeah,
Yes, not complaining about, really talking about. What do you feel inspired to talk about?
right.
So these are the things where you really see. And I like the quote of success leaves clues, because you already, and that's back coming to the past, is exactly this. You can see what you have been invested in. So what you who have been investing yourself in, and most probably this is something that you really like. And if this has been in the past, so if you feel like stuck right now, and you can remember you had a time when you have been really clear and joyful and all of that, you can think back to that time and see what did you do then and what's missing today.
Right, right. Yeah. I think it's so important that we don't lose sight of who we are and what we bring. So
Yeah.
we are as it, speaking in terms of our careers, we are not job seekers.
Nope.
We are solution providers,
Hmm.
right? So we bring this set of skills and we are serving a need and solving a problem
Yeah.
for the organization that we work for, or if we are in business for ourselves, we are serving a need and solving a problem for our clients,
Hmm. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, one of the things that you talk a lot about, Anka, is designing your career.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I want to get really prescriptive for our audience. What does the career design process look like?
So career design is we touched a lot of those topics, is really finding out what you really want to do. And so what's the next step, and really getting into this next step, creating something. So if you think you're stuck right now and you want to get to another job that fulfills you, the first thing you do is stop focusing on where you are right now, is start dreaming again. So creating a vision of something. It doesn't have to be clear yet, but then you go into what you already have. So it's really into your skills, what you are joyful about, what you're interested in. And then you see, okay, how does this fit into where I want to go? And then you go on a journey where you also find out, okay, what jobs are there? So also, if you are open for new perspectives, then please also look at industries and departments you have never thought about. Why? Because you most probably have skills that fit into that area. And then if you think, okay, I might have potential, but I'm not clear if really, then go and ask someone, really get to know someone in that specific job, in that specific area, and get to know the potential skills that you need. And then create, of course, potential list. I don't like the weaknesses list, because I think we all can grow in something. And so really get the idea of what's needed, and then adapt. So really take on skills, get trainings and all of that. And really then it's kind of, you like the agile working, it's you get to a place, you have a vision, and if it's not yet there, then you reiterate, you really go and get some feedback, you go and get some new input, you adapt, you adjust. It's always the same cycle, and that's how you design your career. Basically, that's how you always do it, because no one ever had an idea of really the job they wanted. So even those real gurus, like, I don't know, Elon Musk, or I don't know, he didn't know that he's ending up with, I don't know how many companies he has today. He just had the vision of what he wanted to do, and then he was reiterating. Oh my gosh, adjusting is the better word. Let's stick with the A's.
Yeah, they're easier to say. Yeah,
Exactly.
it all starts with having a vision.
It all starts with that, yes.
It
And
does.
don't forget the
It's an
joy.
idea. Some would call it a fantasy, but it's a vision of what could be, the
Yeah,
potential
yeah.
that, and it is grounded in what you value most. So what's most important to you,
Yeah,
and if that's what you should be pursuing,
yeah.
right?
And this also has phases, because your values can change. Not every value will change, but they can change, of course. And then you have to think anew about that. But it's still something that you have to consider. And what I also want to say here is, start dreaming again, because a lot of people don't know how to dream. And when you are honest, the best ideas you had were when you were a kid, when you were curious about the world, and and the moment you stopped dreaming, everything got hard. And so go back to the dreaming, even if you don't know yet. It's the streaming process. Yeah.
That's such good advice. That's such good advice. Are there any relevant skills that everyone should start with?
Yeah. Yeah. Number one is curiosity,
Oh, I'm
which is
so glad
basically
you said that.
which is basically having an open mind.
Yeah.
Why? It's necessary to understand why people do something, and if you are curious, then you also see patterns, with which is nothing less than a trend. So it's a pattern that you
Right.
can see, and making it simple. So it's not complicated. It's a pattern that you can see. Just be curious, ask why. Don't be interrogating, but be curious about things so that you can see opportunities. That's one thing.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
and a second one is adaptability. So really being flexible, being agile to situations and requirements, not sticking to, but we have always been doing it like that. No, stop it. It's just, okay, so why not? Ask yourself, why not?
Yeah, I
Okay,
love that
and how
question.
can?
Yeah.
Exactly. What can come out of that? Yeah, a
Mhm.
different way. So what else? And then, of course, resiliency. But this comes with the flexibility, because the more you get flexible, the easier it is to adapt to things, and you don't complain, you don't get stressed, and you don't work too hard. So this is something. And what I also think is fast decision making. What comes with you being curious, you seeing all the trends and recognizing, oh my gosh, this is an opportunity, and jump on it. So it all grows within. And then, of course, with the flexibility comes reinvent yourself all over again.
Yeah.
Be reinventive, because if you can do that, if you can say, okay, if I change my position, if I go to another company, then how do I want to be there? It's like this question that everyone asks, what do you want people to talk about you, say on your deathbed? But I
Yeah.
don't like this. Yes,
What
I
legacy?
like
Yeah.
more the vision of we are alive, and what's the vision you want to bring in there. So really reinventing. I think the most popular person who did this was Madonna, the singer. She, with every record, with every new record, she reinvented herself, but in the core she still was the same person.
Yeah.
And I think lastly, it's really communication. The world is changing, and you and me having, I don't know how many miles, thousands of miles between us. We communicate via media, we communicate in a different language. So really start communicating. I think that's the first connection you can make. Yeah. So
Those are beautiful. And I hope you haven't just given away all your tips.
no, there's a
Because
process to
these,
all of that.
we're going to get to those next. So we have be curious.
Mhm.
That is a
Yeah.
great skill. Be adaptable,
Mhm.
right? Flexible. I understand. So what was the third one?
Fast com-
Resilience,
yes, resilience. Yeah.
resilience, and communication.
Fast decision making and reinventing yourself.
Reinventing yourself.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And the idea of reinvention is, um, it can be scary. I've reinvented myself, not as many times as Madonna, but many times in my life. And it's not a wholesale reinvention. You're right. The core is the same. What I cared about most, my values, my core values never shifted, but my 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 values of what's most important to me now in this place and time
Mhm.
do shift.
Yes.
And as long as we honor that and we're going after what we really care about,
Mhm.
then I think all of that comes into play. And reinventing yourself takes a vision. All
Yes,
right.
it does. Thank you.
So we're getting to the best part of the show. Our viewers tell us that it's these practical tips and strategies that you're going to leave with us today that they care most about hearing. So, Anke, what's your first tip for us?
The first tip is really follow the trends. Follow every trend that you can, because if you people invest money into the stock market, why don't they invest some time into following those trends and really sucking the information out to see where the world goes next? So that's one thing that I really want to the people to really want the people to do, is recognize those patterns. Yeah.
And follow them if they are in your heart to follow them. Just don't follow them just because they are trends, but if they are trends that are moving in a direction that you're curious about.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Got
Yeah.
it. All right. What's your next one?
So, and the next tip is really taking a meta perspective onto your current position. Why is that? Because if you take your feet out of the mud, then you can probably move quicker and you can see different things. So really stepping aside and then looking at it differently, or maybe asking someone to share their opinion about your current situation. So if you are not able to do this yourself, do it with someone else, but also ask someone else about it, because you have a certain position, and if you are in the mud, it's pretty hard to get out of the mud. So get help to look at this differently. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I call it becoming an objective observer, right?
Yeah.
Stepping outside of yourself, of the situation, and looking at it more objectively. And you're so right. That's not always easy for us to do because we get so involved that can be difficult. But so soliciting someone else to help you, someone you trust.
Yes.
Whose opinion matters to you, right?
Yeah.
Love
But don't ask a friend, because friends don't see you in a professional way. Ask a colleague that you trust.
Yeah. Or a mentor, right?
Or a
Everyone
mentor.
should have a mentor.
Exactly.
And they should be very carefully selected. And you should trust them implicitly to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Do you have one more?
Yes, a last one. And enhance or increase. I know it's enrich, I think. Enrich your resourcefulness. So really, what resources can you take on? This could be resiliency in terms of, okay, I create a new habit with meditation. I create a new habit with reading books, something like where you can get information, where you can really ground yourself, where you can get back to yourself, where you can get energy, and really adding resources to your life, because they will, of course, enrich your life, make you more fulfilled, and also serve you in any way, be it in your career or your life. Yeah. So
I love that you ended with that, because I talk about resources all the time. I often refer to each one of these podcast episodes as a resource for people to tap into the brilliance of my guests and to connect with them, because you and all of my guests have resources to share with our audience. So it's a really good one to end with. Leverage the resources that you have at your disposal. And we have many. All we have to, with the internet, my heavens, we have so much more than we need. And we have to be very discerning about how we select it. But tapping into resources is really important. Anke, thank you so much for joining us today. I really, the time just flew by.
Yes, it did.
And I want people to know how they can reach out to you. So tell us about your website and where they can find other resources for you.
Okay, so basically, it's what you can read is www Anke Menzler, which is of course German, but I can spell it, which is ANKEMENZLER.com. There you can find me, and of course you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, like right now, and there you can find all the sources. Yes, right, and of course. With the show notes, you will share some different resources as well.
Right.
So exactly, yeah,
Right.
that's how you can find me.
That's
Reach
perfect.
out whenever you
Wonderful.
want to. I'm curious to get to know as many people as I can on the world.
That's beautiful. And I know you are. You mean that.
Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
Anka, thank you so, so much for being here today. I really appreciate it. And I want to thank all of our watchers and listeners as well, because I appreciate you. I appreciate you for being a part of our community and continuing to show up for our podcasts and learning what you can from my guests. So if you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a comment or a review. And if there's a star rating where you're watching or listening, pick a star. We'd love to hear from you. And as I said at the top of the show, and I just said, I love creating and sharing resources for professional women who feel stuck in their careers. So if something resonates about this episode and you'd like to get a fresh perspective on it, reach out and let's chat. Anka would love to chat with you. I'd love to chat with you. And if you'd like to continue the conversation, I invite you to my private Facebook group called the Career Transition Roadmap, and we can keep talking about relevance there. You can look for the links below. So let's meet again here next Wednesday, same time, same station, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Because you know what? I believe it's our time to thrive. So let's thrive together. Until next time, I'm Maria Tomás-Keegan, helping you to turn transition into triumph.